in very close liaison with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's anti-black extremists COINTELPRO personnel, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that so many noteworthy persons turned up dead due to murder or suicide? Could it have anything to do with the unified scandal theory, or as Danny Casolaro called it, the octopus? I say yes. Regarding the October surprise, George Bush has yet to settle in one particular alibi for his whereabouts from approximately 11 p.m., October the 18th, 1980, until about 9 p.m., October the 19th, 1980. And that is the exact time frame for George Bush's participation in the alleged October surprise negotiations. He has 3 different unverifiable alibis for those 22 hours, and the Secret Service's own records have him in more than 3 separate places at the very same time. And it's all bull. Another date that both Richard Milhous Nixon and George Herbert Walker Bush have trouble remembering is the date of November the 22nd, 1963. Kangas has information that places both Richard Milhous Nixon and George Herbert Walker Bush in Texas on the day of the John Kennedy assassination. I have a videotape from a newsreel taken in Dallas, Texas, that shows Richard Milhous Nixon in a receiving line in a hotel in Dallas. In fact, the same hotel where a famous movie actress was also staying. Isn't it about time that these 2 leaders were held accountable for their whereabouts on 2 very important days in our history? Or is it that nobody cares? Do you care out there? Or have you given up? This is a newspaper article from the Spotlight, 4/27/92. It says Bush was at Homestead Air Force Base in Florida on January 4th, 1990. And the document also reveals a pro-Israel faction within the CIA led by the late James J. Angleton, conspired with the Mossad in fabricating false intelligence even when the U.S. government itself was deceived by the result. According to the closely guarded report obtained by the Spotlight with the help of Foreign Service sources. And there's a lot more newspaper articles here confirming everything. And here's a very interesting one. This is from the Arcata Union, Thursday, October the 3rd, 1991, also written by Roy Giampali. Author Barbara Honegger is coming to Arcata Saturday to speak concerning her 1989 book, The October Surprise. The title refers to the Reagan-Bush 1980 campaign team and its alleged attempt to derail President Carter's re-election bid. She'll inform the North Coast of that experience as well as the developments since. However, no surprise here, a number of individuals have turned up dead under mysterious circumstances. When you're dealing with a case of international graft, greed, and corruption, order a few lives. The storm is getting worse. At the heart of the story is the Iran-Contra affair, arms for hostages, and the resupply of the rebels trying to overthrow the Managua government. And thrown in for good measure, Bank of Credit and Commerce International, BCCI. According to Christopher Hitchens, writing in The Nation, Honegger lists people connected with the scandal who have since died. The list includes William Casey and arms dealer Cyrus Hashimi. He goes on. Social activist Abbie Hoffman was found dead April 12, 1989. This was after submitting his October surprise manuscript. An Election Held Hostage was the title, to Playboy magazine, published October 1988. And the casualties keep coming. Investigative journalist and stringer for the Financial Times of London, Anson Ing, was murdered, execution style, shot through the head, July 29th in his Guatemala City apartment. All of this has already been published in my newsletter. Months ago, he was reportedly investigating BCCI and its financial dealings in the country. At the time of his death, there was a question. Had he gotten to the October surprise as well? More recently, Danny Casolaro was found floating in his West Virginia motel room tub. He called the case the Octopus. Columnist Jack Anderson in August tied Casolaro's death to British journalist Jonathan Moyle. 3/31/90, he was murdered. Moyle was the probable victim of Chilean arms dealer Carlos Cardoan. Moyle had gone to Santiago to cover an international air show for Helicopter World, the publication he edited. Joe Blyfus, writing in These Times, ties Casolaro's demise to that of the Cabazon Indian Reservation of India and the Wackenhut Corporation, a corporation that I've also tied to the security at a top-secret base in Nevada, where they have developed and test flying saucer-type vehicles owned and flown by the United States government, not aliens. In 1984, former Deputy CIA Director Bobby Inman, whom I once worked for at the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet Headquarters when I was in the Office of Naval Intelligence, currently one of Robert Gates' CIA Director, Maine Boosters in Washington, was a director of the company. And among those in the 1983 board were two former FBI special agents, one retired Air Force general, one former Commander-in-Chief of the North American Air Defense Command, NORAD, one former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, former CIA Director William Rabor, Nixon-appointed FBI Director Clarence Kelly, and former CIA Deputy Director Frank Carlucci. All were on the board of Wackenhut Corporation. And Carlucci would later become Ronald Reagan's national security advisor. Guardian columnist Jack Calhoun writes that the U.S. House of Representatives' September 5th Subcommittee Report on Crime and Criminal Justice states, quote, the United States government had enough information on BCCI by the mid-1980s to have put BCCI on the most wanted list, unquote. He also says, quote, the report details instances going back to 1983 when the Customs Service, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Justice Department failed to take action against BCCI. In the September 23rd U.S. News and World Report, former Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega, currently on trial, or just finished his trial, says he was paid $10 million by the United States government. Noriega hoped to show that his involvement with Colombian cocaine lords was well known to the Central Intelligence Agency, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and officials as high up as then Vice President George Bush. You bet your life, Bush hired him. What are the implications of all these incredible octopus-like interconnections? First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, it could mean that our president is potentially guilty of high treason and could be impeached. And I tell you that he is, and maybe if he's reelected. The best and most advantageous way to determine for yourself is to come to the Humboldt State University Forbes Complex West on Saturday, October 5th at 7 p.m. and hear what Reagan administration insider Barbara Honegger has to say. That date is past. Don't go, folks. It's over with. This is an old article. But if you look real hard, you may be able to purchase Barbara Honegger's book. The title is October Surprise. Another person has written another book called October Surprise about the exact same subject since she wrote her article. And it's still raining. I want all of you to do something now. Sit back. Close your eyes. On the back of your eyelids, draw a picture of the United States of America and all of its possessions. Draw a map. And on that map, put a dot for every city and town in this great nation and in its possessions. Now, if you're like me, it'd take you forever to count those dots because just in the state of Arizona, there's an awful lot of little towns and cities. A lot of them. Now we're talking about the whole nation and all of the possessions of the United States of America. Now take yourself to the street corner of any town that you want to in this nation, or any of its possessions, and understand that at any given moment, hour, day, week, month, or year, if you have enough money in your hand, you can buy any quantity of any kind of dope, drug, narcotic that you can think of. At any moment, day or night, any hour, any day, week, month, or year, day or night. Now, can you imagine the supplies of drugs that have to be entering this country to accomplish that? Can you imagine? Understand that it's not Colombian drug lords bringing those drugs into this country. They're coming in under the protection of the umbrella of national security. Ladies and gentlemen, it's still raining. When is it ever going to stop? How is it ever going to stop? How in the world and who are we going to get to stop the rain? I know from my stint with the Office of Naval Intelligence that George Herbert Walker Bush, when he was the president and CEO of the offshore division of Zapata Oil, was the man responsible for bringing the drugs into this country. He organized the first large-scale drug smuggling operations from Central and South America. They came to the offshore oil platforms, and from there into the beach by the normal crew conveyance, and thus skirted detection by law enforcement or customs officials. And it's still raining, still storming. And until we as a people, until we as a nation wake up and take our power back and reinstate the Constitution as the supreme law of this land, the storm will continue to get worse, and it will continue to rain, and there will be no sunshine for this nation. The United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, is scheduled for extinction. And what's going on in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, at this very moment, is a part of the effort to destroy the United States of America, and indeed the sovereignty of all nations, and place us under the aegis of the United Nations. But the real power of the United Nations is the Security Council and the nations that sit on the Security Council. Understand that you will have no rights. The United Nations Charter has no individual rights for individual human beings. There's no freedom of religion, no freedom of speech, no protection from unreasonable search and seizure. No guarantee that you will not be made to testify against yourself. There's no writ of habeas corpus. There is no guarantee of just compensation for property confiscated or seized. There is no nothing. No nothing. There are no guarantees of any kind. Are you ready and willing to give up everything that humanity has worked for in the history of this earth? all of man's efforts to be free, to be responsible, to walk in a divine state of grace, responsible upon this earth,